Are we broadcasting? Okay. Morning, everyone. We'll convene the meeting. Please mute your phones or anything else that's noisy. Anything to turn over, give it to Jim Curran, Sergeant at Arms. And we'll begin with an invocation by the sheriff, pledge by Commissioner Harrison. You're welcome to join us.
All right, everybody to bow their heads, and we thank the good Lord for this day that he has given us to do the business of the people. We pray that the board members are given guidance to serve the people of Berrien County. We pray for our country. We pray for peace in this world as we go through the conflicts that are occurring now, that somebody with level heads meets and comes to a conclusion to this war that is occurring in this world. So that in the Lord's name, we ask for your guidance. Amen.
Amen.
Please join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bell,
Here.
Curran,
Here.
Freeling, Harrison,
Here.
Hinkleman,
Here.
Majeri,
Here.
Meeks, Scott,
Here.
Falrath,
Here.
Werfel. Here. Yarber. Present. Elliott.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 10 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. The minutes from the 3rd, any problem with those, or are they ready to approve? If they're ready to approve, is there a motion? Moved by Bell, supported by Werfel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, I understand we have communication.
Yes, you received a resolution from Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners supporting the Community Mental Health Authority and opposing current state legislation to change the CMHA, received on March 2nd. That's all.
Thank you. We're ready for the consent calendar. Before that, any public comments on the resolutions that are set forth on the consent calendar? General public comments later. This is just for the resolutions on the agenda. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Moved by Harrison. Is there support? Supported by Scott. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Curran,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman,
Yes.
Majeri,
Yes.
Meeks, Scott,
Yes.
Walrath.
Yes.
Werfel,
Yes. Yes.
Yarber,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 10 yeas.
Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports, and Madam Finance Chair, you're up.
Thank you. Thank you. We had our committee meeting, and we started out with our automotive fleet manager, Todd Rainey. He wanted to let us know that he's wanted to order, and he'd been to his other committee, 12 vehicles. And he believes there'll be about $550,000. And we agreed with that. And did we make a motion?
Yes.
We made a motion to accept it. And as we talked, when he was checking on some previous vehicles we had ordered, and they haven't come yet, but they have one more in the lot. And so we told him to go ahead and get that car, because so many things we're ordering, or they're telling people they don't have it or not going to have it. Nothing is coming as we hope that it would. And so we don't want to be in a position where we have, and right now we have no extra cars, that can be put out. And these are being fully loaded with all the things that the sheriff department needs. And so he's going to, make them know that he wants that today or as soon as he left out of there. And then we just talked about cars, and the different things a lot. Then our next appointment was with Under Sheriff Chuck Height about ammunition. Once again, if you can find some things, you need to go ahead and get them. We have ammunition on order, and what he did in talking with one of the owners, Vance, he's going to make a waiver so that we can get some more ammunition for 2023. It's in the warehouse, so they may have the ammunition, but they don't have the people to put it together or to get it out, or all the orders are like 14, they'll get them in 14 months or something like that. So we said, whatever you can get. And then what he's going to do is work to do like we usually do in putting out bids and all, so that he can have ammunition for 2024. What we asked, Doug James was in the room. We asked Doug James to get with you, Administrator Doucette, and come to us, to the finance, and talk to us about how we have to do things. John Hinkleman brought up to us that even getting his things that he needs, sometimes it's no longer, they're not even doing it anymore. Or if you can find it, we want to know, how do we react to these things so that we can get our orders in? It's not that we don't have the money. It's just we want to do it right. Right. Committee, we had waiver requests and we approved every one of them. One was from the road department for a boom rehab excavator. The budgeted amount was $15,000. The waiver amount was $13,869, and he needs to buy it from the same company that our equipment is. The next one was for the sheriff's department, a trained K9, which will cost $12,500. It's a little less than normal because it's going to be purchased here locally and trained locally. And then we need Dell rugged laptops and mounts for sheriff's patrol vehicles, which are their computers. And we've bought them always from Dell and Panasonic. And the Dell ones were less expensive, and the sheriff's department likes those and understands how they work. The budget amount was $105,000. We got them we're going to get them for $86,145. And then the next final waiver we had was Southwest Michigan Planning Commission. They'll do grant writing services and assistance with the broadband construction. And the budget amount was $20,000, the waiver amount $20,000. That's when, hopefully, when you have the meeting on the 17th and communities start applying for broadband, that Southwest Michigan will be there to help if they need them to help writing it. And I think it'll make it a real good system. I can see how you could be able to put basic things in, and then why do you want it, or why do you need it, or whatever, to help it be consistent and logical. Some people get their things in right away, some eventually will. I think this will bring everything together. And so we consented to all those waivers. We passed the minutes and we made approval of weekly bills. That was our meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I wanted to explain to the rest of the board on the vehicles that Todd came in, the 12, they were not off the sheriff's department. They were for the county, animal control vehicles, health department vehicles, whatever, building and grounds. That was those 12. The extra one that we did approve him to get were the 4 we had ordered for last year to come in this year. They also have an extra one. And since we did have a wrecked sheriff vehicle, we told them to go ahead and get that extra one also, because we don't know when we'll be able to get another one.
Yeah.
So that was that.
Thank you.
Questions for finance? Yes, ma'am.
Question on the grant writing?
Yes.
Will that dollar amount also cover grant writing for the infrastructure bill? Those
No,
grants for broadband?
no. So this is focused solely on broadband construction. Commissioner Curran just asked the same question. We, separate of that, we're negotiating with a former county administrator to come in on a temp employee basis, working on the more broad grant applications. He may touch the broadband stuff in conjunction with Southwest Michigan PC, but the focus would be on chasing the infrastructure bill, getting a handle on what pots of money are available, how they could align to our operations, and then actually developing the grant application and bringing it forward to this board for consideration.
Other questions?
Who is coming in?
I'm working to finalize a hire now. I'm not going to say his name until we can
Okay,
come to terms.
okay.
Okay. Mr. Chair of Admin, Jim.
Thanks, Mac. And thanks for that clarification, Brian. I misspoke in our committee meeting when I said we had the grant writer through BC Bit. That grant writer is strictly for broadband. I was under the impression that that was going to be used for not only broadband, but other purposes. Not the case, but as Brian just explained, we're taking care of that through a different avenue. So thank you for that explanation, and I stand corrected. We have a resolution for you. 3208, it is a speed study. It's a traffic control order that the reasonable and safe speed limit on Glen Lord Road from Hollywood Road to Niles Road is 45 miles per hour. That is reasonable and safe speed on Glen Lord Road from Washington Avenue to Hollywood is 50 miles per hour. So Lincoln Charter Township, Royalton Township requested a speed study be done on Glen Lord. These are the results. And so the road department will erect speed limit signs to reflect that change. We had a discussion with Tony and Dirk and Jim Hettinger, because at our after this meeting, we were going to meet with Tony and Dirk to do some follow-up through the admin committee. And Jim Hettinger was not able to make it, so I asked him to come down and talk to us right now. So we got his input from listening to the presentation this morning, and he will have more input for us as well. And we did have a brief discussion with Tony and Ray and Dirk, and we'll have more discussion. The one thing that we came away with for right now is if you look at the list of the 15.8 million, if you have any additions, deletions, any input whatsoever, send them to Brian, and then Brian will either forward them to the admin committee, or you can send them to Brian and I between now and next Thursday, because we hope to have something ready to move next Thursday. So please get that to Brian. And that's our report.
Thank you. Questions for admin? Okay, Mr. Chair of PHS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also met this morning, a number of items of business. First, we approved per diems for the commissioners. Second, we had Mr. Rainey come in and talk a bit about staffing for maintenance in the motor pool. He'd like to add one additional auto mechanic. He's got one out on medical leave now. So it's a non-budgeted item. It would be in addition to his staffing plan. Total estimated cost would be between $65,000 and $80,000. That would include not just wages, but also benefits. There's been about a 22% increase the number of vehicles that he is maintaining over the last several years. A number of them are coming as a result of our contracts with local units of government for police coverage. So we did approve that. We also will have three resolutions next week for you. One relates from the health department. This is the for the additional money coming from the state of Michigan for lead efforts in our county. And then the other part of that is for visiting nurse expansion. They together total about $280,000, again, funded by the state of Michigan. And the other will be a resolution authorizing the Parks Department to apply for a natural resource trust fund grant in the amount of about $300,000. There would be a required $100,000 local match. This is for the property we acquired adjacent to the Pawpaw River Park, and so up in Waterville. So they're asking for our approval to do that. And then also the Friends of Bering County Trails has requested $5,000 of cash support for their efforts. And we did approve that, and that will come in the form of a resolution next week for you. Then we also reviewed and approved pension rollovers and refunds for individuals exiting county employment. And that would conclude our meeting.
Questions for PHS?
General question. Have we ever done the donation or whatever to the Friends of the Trails, or is this something new?
To the best of my knowledge, we've not contributed anything. So local units, townships, villages are contributing amounts between 500 and 2,000. And so this would be one of the, since of, I guess, the geographic area the county covers, they've requested an additional amount,
All right.
a higher amount for us.
Thanks. I just didn't know if we'd
Yeah.
ever done anything like that before, so.
No, I don't
Okay.
believe so.
Other questions? Okay, we'll move to commissioner reports and we'll start here and go around the horn.
Two things to report. Yesterday, I had a Housing Resource Network meeting, and I think I've shared this with this board. The story map that was done by the Strategic Leadership Council on housing and forecasting housing needs for Berrien County. I will send that link back out to the rest of the board for you guys to dive into. Very similar to what we did with the story map for broadband. You can drill down into the areas that you serve and represent in to be able to see what those needs are specific to your district. The other thing that I just wanted to make an announcement on is remind everybody that there is the upcoming BC BIT Arpa broadband grant application workshop. We have two dates that we've actually landed on. We have March 17th at 12:30 here in this room, March 31st at 9 a.m. because we don't have a board meeting because it's a fifth Thursday. That will be here in this room. And anybody that would like to take copies of these flyers to distribute to your municipalities or any leaders interested, I'll have them available. Guess I can put them out here on the table. And that's my report, sir. Thank you.
And we can come.
Yes.
It'll be right after our meeting. Is that a Thursday? No.
It will be right after our meeting on the 17th and no meeting for us as a board on the 31st, but you're welcome to come.
Thank you.
I attended the meeting of the Human Services Council. If you remember, this is the countywide organizations that provide direct services to citizens of Berrien County.
No report.
I attended this week the MAC Ag and Tourism Committee. We're working on platforms for the year. Commissioner Hinkleman, I'm going to send those platforms over to you, especially for the ag, so that you can make sure they align with what we need here in our county as well, so I can give that input back. I'd appreciate it.
No report.
The only thing I have to report is to say what she said on the BC bid.
And on March 4th, I attended the Connexus Michigan Works Board meeting. And their meetings are very good. They're doing a lot of things. They get a lot of grants. We're fine financially. What's happening is other companies are picking all their employees off. The top ones and the best ones, and I don't know where they're going. And like we talked about in some meeting, young people are not looking for retirement or IRA or any of those things. They go where the money is. And so they've raised to where they hope to have 130 full-time employees. Right now, they have 102 full-time employees, but they have a lot of vacancies also. And so I took the chance or the time to do a commercial because they were talking about in Van Buren County, they're doing the rural internet expansion. Many of the communities are using that ARPA money for broadband because it's so bad. So I let them know that on March 17th, Berrien County, BC BIT was having a broadband where they could come in and see how it works and whatever. So that's my report.
Okay, any other business? The announcements and reminders are, as you can see on the agenda. And does anyone have anything to add to any of that? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, our administrator, Has he got anything to say on administrator reports? Because I had something to ask under other business.
Oh, okay, well, did you have anything?
Just as a thank you to, to Terry, to Dan. They assisted with last Friday, a presentation on a BC bid was done before the Southwest Chamber of Commerce. I think we had 35 to 40 in attendance. I mean, every seat at the county conference room was taken up. So thank you to Commissioner Freeling for doing the presentation, and thanks to everybody that came on behalf of the chamber. And as it relates to questions about Friends of Trails, this is my gift to you, Ezra. Why couldn't the bicycle stay awake? It was too tired.
Oh, oh, that's good.
Annette, your eyes just rolled in your head. Those are my comments, sir.
Okay, did you have a question still?
Under other business after public comment, though.
Okay, all right. Well, if anybody has anything they'd like to talk about, now's the time to do it, preferably in 2 minutes or less. You don't have to, but you can if you want to.
I have to.
Okay.
Belter Adolph Acre. I got a complaint about that fountain out there. Why didn't you guys fix that thing? You know, somebody comes walking in here, they want to use a fountain, and you got all the little dribble coming out of there. And what's the cost to get that thing fixed? Well, it's been like that ever since I was born, I guess. No, the other ones were. Another thing is that when somebody walks in here, where do I hang my coat? Put it on, I hold it, or I put it on a chair. Let's get a closet in here too. No, it's supposed to be a public meeting. I'm part of the public. So if somebody comes in here, first time, they look around here, you guys meet here? I can't believe this. Then you see Bailey over there, he kind of scared a few people too. Then where do I hang my coat? Can I get a drink of water? No. How about the coffee machine? Let's put that thing over there. So I don't have to go over there. You don't see any of us go over there. You know, we don't want to bother you guys. Some of you might be sleeping or something. Put it over there. There's probably no electricity over there. No, you got to, people that come in here, they should feel they're welcome. That's my complaint. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Okay, we'll close public comments and then we'll go back to other business since I
Thank you, Mac.
skipped public comments earlier. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
thank you, Mac. I would just like the board to be aware and everybody here, BC Bit needs direction from this board on the amount of ARPA funds that we are going to dedicate to BC Bit, because we're getting to the point, once we go to these two, the question is gonna come up on how much do we have based on what they want, based on their money that they're going to put in. So we're gonna have to know and have to figure that out. Otherwise, that's gonna put us behind. And we've got to get going on some of these things. We've got a few shovel-ready projects, but we have to know what the funding is first.
There's a problem potentially, and that is we hear there's funding coming, not ARPA, but different avenues of funding, FCC and other things. So we could tag a number, but it would need to be with an asterisk after it that it would be subject to change depending on what grant dollars would be available. That's my suggestion anyway.
Matt, so one of the things with regards to ARPA funds versus the other dollars that are coming, we have a timeline that's pressing from the ARPA perspective. I know from those that I talked to in the industry, we're pressed for resources, materials. There's 2-year lead time sometimes on the materials that we need. And the other part that I keep in the back of my mind for ARPA is that it's discretionary for us, for our spending, what we want to as a county prioritize. And so I understand your caution and your statement, and I would continue to press us to be innovative and the leaders on this subject matter that we are, to be able to keep moving forward and continue to have the conversation.
All right.
We have 2 applications that have been submitted that are absolutely shovel ready. And we anticipate that we are likely to see more applications. To follow up on Commissioner Scott's comments, I think we're at a point where having some type of formalized resolution committing what you are all ready to spend on broadband would make sense. At a minimum, a $6 million number has been discussed, I believe up to 8 million. So my recommendation would be at a minimum, commit to 6 million with the willingness to reconsider depending on the volume of applications. And if you all are ready, we could have a resolution pass through BC Bit to finance and to this board within 1 to 2 weeks. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry,
We
sir.
determined,
He's chair. I shouldn't have said that.
Pardon me?
am I recognized by the chair?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sure.
Have we determined a process of approving these? Because if we have more, I've had one of my townships that said, well, we'll never get approved, so we're not gonna get any of the money. And I was like, that's not true. You need to make sure that you apply for anything that you need to, because there'll be a process of approving those. I know we'll have a limit, obviously, but if we start approving shovel readies that are there now, how are we making sure that we're gonna cover all townships that are still yet to put in applications?
So, excellent question. And as staff, I'm thrilled that you said encourage the townships to apply. What we've been trying to do for months now is reach out to each and every township along with the other local units of government and encourage them to apply. Anyone who's got the attitude, it's not worthwhile, that's the wrong attitude. We have one of the newest township supervisors in the county who is as green as he could be, has managed to put together an application and get it into BC Bit for consideration. The scoring process is we have the applications coming into BC Bit. They are shared with the members. They are a public document. We have an outside consultant through a connection with Merit Network, who is an industry expert, reviewing the applications to ensure that if a grant is given, that a project can be completed the way that it's described in the application before the county would give them money. It is deemed to be a viable project. Once that review is complete, BC Bit will prepare the recommendations. They'll move through the finance committee and eventually to the board. If BC Bit recommends it, finance would then be asked to bless a grant agreement. The grant agreement would then come forward to the board for final consideration. The grant agreement will then spell out the bidding requirements and all of the other federal requirements that the township would then thereby accept to ensure that they're fully compliant with the Arpa regulations. Did that answer your question?
So we have a scoring method.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand the application. I remember seeing all of that and how that will lay those things out. But I just want to make sure that we're going to be considering all the applications versus approving a couple now and then maybe we get 10 more in and, oh, now we're out of money. Sorry, you were late.
So the BC Bit has discussed the potential for a rolling application. And part of that discussion was predicated on the fact that this application process has now been open for a significant amount of time. And up until a week ago, we only had one applicant. We have been trying to encourage the townships to get off the dime and submit their application, or at the very least state their intent. Over the last week, we've started to see some momentum. So whether or not a rolling application will be brought forward is to be determined based on just trying to get a loose count of how many are actually going to submit their applications. Up until a week ago, it was very quiet.
Great. I will encourage my townships to make sure that they tell you that because I know mine are waiting for the 17th.
Okay.
Mac.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I'd like to just point out, and this means no disrespect to any county employee or this board, but before we decide, I think before we decide on an initial amount of money, of ARPA money, we started the process back on strategic planning in July. And nothing has happened since then. And it was suggested back at that point in time. So are we also going to have to do an approval of a partial strategic plan? And then go through the process of approving the money of coming out of ARPA funds? I just don't want it to see it to go on longer is what I'm looking to see something done, and it won't be done today, but I'd love to have it done today. But I just don't know what the process is in that with our strategic plan.
So at the staff level and at the consultants level, we are leaning on the board to try and figure out what you are willing to invest your ARPA dollars into. Today was illustrative to both me and to Jim Hettinger. I'll be talking with Jim later today. I've asked the admin committee to stay after today's board meeting to just try and work through that $15+ million recommendation. If admin is ready to endorse that plan, I will pass that to Jim Hettinger. It'll be tie-barred into the strategic plan. And then as soon as you all are ready to accept it, it's done. It is ready for adoption. And it is very much our desire to get that adopted in the fastest way possible.
Well, and that's what I was saying, that what I would not like to do is I would not like to have that process on the administration, on the physical, we'll call it physical plan.
Yeah.
To be held up any longer for the amount that we're planning on putting into BC Bit, because on these meetings on the 17th and on the 31st, the question's gonna come up by the township supervisor of municipalities. We have to know what we're investing. Otherwise, they're gonna be like, well, I'm filling out an application. We don't even know how much money. So that's why I brought that up. Thank you.
Other business. Yes, ma'am.
My thought is that I hope we can do as many as we can. Aren't they getting money also?
They are,
The
ma'am.
township, when you keep saying township, but it's for cities, any village, what's that other?
Municipality.
Village, township, or just say municipality. It's for all government, but they all got money.
Yes, ma'am.
And some of them are putting major, like Van Buren, you see it in the paper, Van Buren County, 7 million or whatever. But this, I think, is a way for us to spread money and as that this community can know they got it, they applied and not got it. What if you say you give $100 a piece? I don't mean that. That's not enough, I know. But you know what I'm saying? To have something rather than you put it in first so you get 7 million, that's all the money.
Yeah, so the applications that we've tried to encourage the local units, number one, we've tried to encourage them to apply. We've provided them with resources to help them with the application.
Yeah.
We have then stated that the application does not require a local match, but it is highly encouraged that a local match be considered because each and every local unit of government did receive ARPA funds.
Okay.
So in the case of the two applications that we've received thus far, one has kicked in a 50% local match. The other, I think, is a 25% local match. But both show that they are listening and that they understand the instruction that's being given. They're not required, but it certainly makes it a more attractive application if they have quote unquote skin in the game.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate the discussion on broadband and the input. So the feedback we're receiving from you has made me realize that we probably need to put some type of organizational structure just so that we are clear, so you have those answers as well put together. It's something that we're working on for the 17th. So I appreciate the feedback on all of that. And I do hope that you'll encourage your municipalities to apply. The idea of equity in the way that we approach these applications has certainly been discussed and taken to heart. The affordability component of it is another part of the discussion that we've been having. Mr. Chair, I had two other items that I just needed to do. One was housekeeping because I was tardy in coming before you guys approved the consent agenda or the consent calendar. I did wish to just make the board aware that I had abstained and wished to abstain on resolution B 2203069, which is our requisition resolution for requisition number 57634 for Rev Excavating in the amount of $15,000 out of caution and just due diligence that way. The other item that I just wanted to ask if we could consider, a longstanding township supervisor passed away last night, Lake Township Supervisor John Gass. Great man. And I wondered if we could take a moment of silence for the family.
Certainly.
Thank you. Honor John and his family. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, would you note on the approval of the consent calendar requisition 57634 and the abstention noted by Commissioner Freeling?
Did not vote during the consent.
No,
I did not, but I will note it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have anything else? We're at the 38-minute mark now.